Hey guys, I hope you are doing alright and welcome back to the B1N44 channel. Now, the Austrian Grand Prix has just been done with, so I thought it would be a good idea for me to pop onto a call with my friend Sir Sid and give our opinions on what happened during the race weekend. Almost a podcast. Do you know what? Let's make this a podcast. Call it, I don't know, Racing Line Podcast. Working title. I'll probably change that. For now, I'd like to introduce Sir Sid. I'll link him down in the description. So, say hello.
Hello.
Right, so I'd like to start off by talking about Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. So, for those of you that don't know, Lewis Hamilton has extended his contract with Mercedes till 2023. Now, I see this as Hamilton probably knows that his chances of winning the championship this year are quite unlikely if the Mercedes car it's not being developed anymore. Puts Red Bull at a higher advantage for this year. So say Hamilton is looking for 2022 and 2023 for his best hope at championship. So what do you think, sir?
I agree with you that I think he has completely accepted the fact that the car's not there to go and challenge for the championship this year, and I also see it as him putting full faith in Mercedes that through the regulations next year, he trusts that they'll be able to make a good car to challenge back right at the top.
Because Mercedes development on their next year's car is being done so early, I feel like they will have a pretty big performance gap to the likes of Red Bull and McLaren in 2022, unless the regulations are as amazing as they are and Williams somehow comes up on top and starts dominating. I mean, that seems quite unlikely. Anyway, let's move on to what happened during the actual race weekend. So, start off with qualifying. George, do you want to start off with the good or the bad?
Start with the good, probably.
So, as you might know, George Russell made it into Q3 for the first time this season. Wow. I mean, shame he just couldn't get the points in the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, George Russell made it into Q3, but unfortunately, the same could not be said for Daniel Ricciardo, who, again, is out of Q2 for the fourth time in about 5 races, which it's quite shocking. I mean, Suraj, do you think there's any explanation for this?
I mean, to some extent you can say it's getting used to the car, but you can't be getting used to the car the 9th race in the season. Especially looking how Lando's done, qualifying second. Like, there's no explanation really for how he's managed to get out in Q2.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't Nikita Mazepin, it's Daniel Ricciardo. He's won races at Monaco. Like, obviously we know what he's capable of, so he can't be adjusting for so long to that car. He can't be like still trying to find his feet in the car for 9 races, considering how experienced he is. And I mean, obviously there are a lot of Ricciardo fans, like myself, who just want to see him do well with his McLaren. But I don't know. You just have to wait and see if maybe for next year he can like get back on his feet and be right up there with Lando Norris, because Norris is proving that the car has massive amounts of pace. I mean, he got P2 in qualifying and then P3 in the race. He's got 4 podiums in 9 races in a McLaren, which, I mean, it's quite amazing, really. And I just want to see Ricciardo get up there as well. But moving on, so obviously we saw a few incidents out on track. So, for example, Vettel blocking Alonso. I don't really know what you make of that, Siraj.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get out of the race, you saw, but he just reacted too late, and FIA just gave him a 3-place grid penalty for it.
Yeah, I think we all saw that Vettel was quite sorry for that, because like we saw how after he'd ruined Alonso's lap, he just came up alongside him and gave him a little wave. Sympathy, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I've got to say about that. So, Suraj, what else happened in qualifying?
So, I mean, if we just jump back to Q1 for a second, we had for the second weekend in a row, Ocon getting out in Q1, which, looking at how good the Alpine is, of course it's not the championship winning car, obviously, but it's a car that should definitely be getting out of Q1. Should maybe be getting both cars into Q3 even, so getting out in Q1 is a real shame for Ocon. Then we had, both the AlphaTauris getting through to Q3 and qualifying very well, just in the row below the Mercedes, with Gasly in 6th and Yuki Tsunoda in P7. That was the main things that happened in qualifying.
Yeah, I feel like Alpine's quite bad performance in qualifying paved the way for AlphaTauri to really come out. I mean, they only qualified a row behind the two Mercedes cars, which is saying something. First of all, Mercedes not developing the car is seriously hindering them. But also, like, I feel like both of the AlphaTauri drivers really deserve to be in better cars, because if they can pull this off in a junior Red Bull car, and like think about what they could do if they were given the same machinery as likes of Red Bull and Mercedes. Obviously, we saw with Pierre Gasly, and now we don't talk about how his 2019 season with Red Bull went.
Yeah, it wasn't amazing to say.
Yeah, but then he just came back with, first of all, a podium in Brazil and the win in Italy next year.
Yeah.
So,
and then you even start to think that if AlphaTauri just keep on developing the car through this year, you could well see them maybe in the last 5 rounds of the calendar, say, you might actually see them fully challenging Mercedes. You never know.
You never know with F1, because with Mercedes not developing so early on, I mean, that leaves the door open for so many teams to challenge Red Bull. I mean, you saw McLaren challenge them today. Like, maybe the likes of Ferrari, Aston Martin, even AlphaTauri could potentially pick up on where Mercedes are. I mean, I'm not saying Yuki Tsunoda will be a race winner. I'm just saying, I feel like the midfield battle could be shifting upwards slightly.
Yeah, definitely. I think so as well. Completely the same.
Yeah. So, I guess we can move on to the race. So, lights out and away we go. And immediately there was an early safety car, as Ocon got sandwiched between Giovinazzi and Schumacher going into the tight right-hander of turn 3, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, turn 3.
Siraj, could you explain what happened there?
So basically, at least from what I saw, Ocon was just going for a move down the middle with Giovinazzi on the inside, Schumacher trying to go around the outside. And basically just on the exit, Giovinazzi just cuts across on the left a little and takes out Ocon's front right suspension, and he can't keep going because of that. And he pulls over and the safety car comes out as a result.
Yeah, I mean, this makes Ocon's weekend even worse. I mean, just getting out of Q1, not getting out of Q1 rather, and then DNF on the first lap. Which, I mean, it's not really what you want to see, considering he's just extended his contract with Alpine. Yeah. Oh, moving on from that, the FIA seems to be dishing out 5-second penalties like no tomorrow. I'm not going to say they weren't for a good reason, but I will say that like there should be a gap between there should be a margin between like really good racing and just downright stupid. So I mean, for example, Lando Norris forced Perez out at turn 4, I believe, wasn't it? And that section, I mean, that did kind of give me on Hamilton vibes of Austria last year. But, I mean, you really want to see that sort of side-by-side action, and I mean, it's a shame that it's a shame that like Lando had to be so aggressive, because I feel like that battle could have continued further on. And Suraj, what do you think about all these penalties?
Yes, I mean the first one, Lando versus Perez, was it was fair in some ways, quite unfair in some ways, but I think Lando wouldn't have done that unless he had learned from what had happened last week. Of course, last week he had let Perez and Bottas just go by so easily. He said afterwards that he knew he wouldn't be able to fight them, so I think he just learned from that. I was like, even if I can't hold them back for so long, I might as well try and hold them back for a bit to see maybe I can just keep the position somehow.
Yeah. And also the Perez versus Norris battle also led to Valtteri Bottas getting past Lewis Hamilton, as well. It was essentially a four-way scrap for P2, as Verstappen was just walking away at that point. And yeah, I feel like Hamilton got quite desperate at that point, and he just got all out of shape when Bottas got ahead of him. And we'll touch back on Bottas versus Hamilton later. That's back to 5-second penalties. Lap 41 and 47 saw Perez and Leclerc in a really good battle. I mean, obviously Perez had lost positions following his track excursion, and I feel like he probably just wanted some revenge, and Leclerc was the one for it, because he ended up pushing Leclerc off as well, which probably triggered Leclerc a bit. But yeah, then Perez got his 5-second penalty. So what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I think that, well, if you look at both the incidents between Perez Leclerc and Perez Lando, what I saw, Lando, I think, didn't really make contact with Perez, he just forced him off. With Perez and Leclerc, from what I saw, Perez actually hit Leclerc, I think twice actually, directly hit him off the circuit. So if I was the FIA there, I would honestly give him a 5-second penalty for that. But for the turn 6 incident that happened on lap 47 between Perez and Leclerc, I think that there should have been no penalty there, because it's brave at the start for Leclerc to try and go for a move that you don't see moves around the outside of turn 6. So,
yeah, I mean, if that move had worked out, then I don't really know what to say.
yeah, it would have been an amazing move, but well, it didn't work, and then we heard Leclerc getting all angry over the radio, but I honestly think that's a little bit more on Leclerc, and he should have thought that, well, it's not really going to work at the outside of turn 6.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that, I'd like to get back to Hamilton and Bottas. So obviously, Hamilton picked up a bit of damage coming out of turn 1, which, I mean, obviously just completely lost the chances of getting anywhere near Verstappen. Then Bottas was able to get past him. Now, obviously no one likes to see Valtteri, it's James, but surely Mercedes would have thought that Hamilton is in more of a championship fight than Bottas, so surely it would make sense for Bottas to hold position, maybe even keep Lando behind him to limit the damage, because Hamilton had got second, and it would have been much better for the championship rather than if he had gone fourth, which he did. So I don't really know what to make of that. Maybe Mercedes have just given up on this season like Haas. I don't know, Suraj, what do you think?
So yeah, as you were saying, if I was there in that position, I would tell Bottas to hold position and to just try and hold Lando behind. Of course, it's a team, you don't want Bottas to possibly end up losing a position to Lando. But then, as you said, there's damage limitation, and you can't be letting Bottas overtake Hamilton. Look at how far behind Bottas is in the championship. He's a good He's around 60 points behind Lewis now. And I think, so he's basically out of the championship fight, considering the fact that Lewis is even 30 points behind Verstappen. So I think it would have been much better for Mercedes to try and keep Bottas behind Hamilton and to try and keep Lando behind them both.
Yeah, I mean, never know why Mercedes made that decision. I mean, it's a bit like their pit stops. They're just all over the place. Well, towards the last... Sorry, do you want to say something?
No.
Right, well, towards the last few laps, I mean, we saw a few battles going on. There was Sainz and Ricciardo battling for 6th, I believe, the last lap.
Yep.
Yeah, probably... The Sainz have probably felt a bit good getting past his old car in his new car.
Then, if we just go back a few laps, lap 68, I believe, Russell riding in P10, trying to get his first points in Williams, but loses it at turn 4. Alonso overtakes him down the inside, I believe, at turn 4. And then Russell just has to settle for P11 at the end.
Russell wanted to get points. Alonso, liberty property. Your point is my property.
Well then, forwarding again onto the last lap at turn 4, we had Vettel and Raikkonen fighting very low down. I believe this was a fight for 16th, where we had Raikkonen ahead and Vettel going down the inside at turn 4. He didn't really get the move done at the corner, but I think on the exit he did get it done. And I'm assuming by what I've seen that Raikkonen was just sort of caught off guard and hit Vettel's left rear tyre, and they both went off into the gravel.
Yeah, obviously the both of them are quite good friends. I mean, I feel like they both tried to keep it as close but as fair as possible. And I mean, I don't think it was anyone's fault in particular. I just feel like it was just like it was just a bit misjudged. I feel like both of them just caught a bit off guard. I mean, I don't think either of them knew what was happening until they were in the gravel. Which, I mean, of course, it's quite saddening for Vettel in particular, because he's come off very good results in Monaco and Azerbaijan, and then he's just been going down again. So I don't really know what to make of his performance so far, because on his day he can deliver, but during times like this when you're battling for P16 in Aston Martin, which I mean, theoretically should be fighting the likes of McLaren, considering what we saw last year with the quote-unquote pink Mercedes. So and maybe the Aston Martin's performance has just gone down rapidly over the past over pre-season this year. So what do you make of it?
So yeah, the Vettel and Raikkonen incident that happened, and that, as you said, Vettel was there. He had qualified quite okay, then was hit with the 3-place grid penalty, of course, for blocking Alonso. But then I think he just... I don't even remember him having that bad of a start. I think he had quite a good start, jumping Russell quite early on, I think. But then I think just from there on in the race, it just went downhill, and then he was, as we said earlier, he was in 17th, trying to fight 16th, so yeah. Yeah, and as you were saying, I think they were both just caught off guard by what was happening, and Raikkonen just wasn't expecting Vettel there.
Ken was both disappointment and amazing for the drivers, because obviously the likes of Mercedes, Aston Martin to an extent, Daniel Ricciardo even, could have probably felt a bit ouch, because, well, let's be honest, they ended up in positions which they really did not want to end up in. But also quite happy for Red Bull, because they scored they won the race. And what position did Perez get?
I believe Perez finished P6, I think, and considering the fact he was P10 I think think he was around P10 at the end of lap 1. It was quite a good race for him. Of course, it's a very short lap. There's not a lot of time you can gain on other people, so I think he's done a good job, especially with those. I think it was a 10-second penalty at the end. I think he's done quite well to manage to still get it up to 6th.
Yeah, I feel like Perez has shown how good his recovery drives are if he's hit with some bad luck. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, really, that race. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Not much. I mean, I was just looking at the gaps, and I believe that had Perez not got that 10-second penalty at all, of course, then he might have been passed by Leclerc, but that's another matter. If he had just not got any penalties, I believe he would have been P5 then, which would have been even better, extra points, of course. Good for Red Bull, considering the fact they're in the Constructors' Championship fight. They're very much in the fight this year, considering how bad Mercedes are doing, and how, honestly, this whole season, Bottas has not been there as much as he has been in previous seasons.
I mean, he's failed to win a race in the past 9 races, and he's in a Mercedes, and he's also won the threat at his seat from George Russell. So, I mean, if he can't pull it together, get some wins under his belt, then, I honestly feel like Russell could have a really good shot at getting Bottas' seat.
And there was some recent news I read about how Toto Wolff, Mercedes manager, of course, was saying that he was definitely going to consider who was going to be alongside Lewis for next year. And that if Russell can put more races like this, more weekends like this, trying to get into Q3, trying to get those points, I think there's definitely some pressure on Bottas to perform, to keep his seat.
Yeah, but on the other hand, that second Mercedes seat is essentially wingman for Lewis Hamilton, because obviously Mercedes don't want a repeat of Hamilton and Rosberg. Obviously, it was extremely entertaining for the fans, but
then you don't want days like 2016 Spain. They don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, and obviously I feel like it's very much possible, considering what George Russell could do when he literally just stepped into the car one weekend.
And I think he was 300ths behind Bottas in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean,
shown just in one day of being in the car, and he's almost managed to out-qualify Bottas in his first session for Mercedes.
Yeah, so obviously Mercedes would not want a repeat of that. So, it'll be interesting to see. But, so, I guess that is it. Siraj, is that it from you?
That is it from me.
So, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this small little podcast. I will upload this to Spotify. So, hello to any Spotify listeners. Be sure to follow me. Everyone on YouTube, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And this is B1N4G4 out.